Hey folks, what's going on? It's me, Andrew Westmoreland, back again with yet another stream. I intend on streaming hours and hours today, so be prepared for that. I don't expect people to stick around the entire time. That's not really how this works. This is kind of going to be one of those casual streams where I'm browsing Twitter or X. I'm looking at some YouTube videos, and we're just going to talk about some current events. Later in the day, I do intend on playing some video games, so stay tuned for that. I am going to keep each one of these blocks under 2 hours. There is a back-end administrative reason I do that. It has to do with trying to maintain these automatic clips that I can generate. It's very time consuming to try to chop up hours long streams. So if I keep it under 2 hours, I can just click a button and it generates these. Now, they aren't always good, so I don't use all of them, but it does save me a lot of time and effort. So let's see. I have the music down really low, but it still sounds pretty loud for some reason. All right. I have several things that I wanted to talk about today. Let's see. What did I want to start with first? I don't know that I can actually play this. All right, I am going to start sharing my screen and we can look at some stuff. Let's look at this. So, apparently, the White House is getting a expansion and major renovation. President Donald Trump is building a ballroom. My thing about this is it's a little weird to me. I'm not super keen on this stuff, though it is entirely normal for the White House to get these renovations. It's happened for hundreds of years. And this is a tweet from the Rapid Response 47. This is obviously associated with the White House. A lot of fake outrage over construction of the big, beautiful, and privately funded White House ballroom. I didn't know it was privately funded. Really? Fact: presidents have been renovating and expanding the White House for more than 100 years. In 1902, President Theodore Roosevelt built the West Wing. In 1909, President William Howard Taft added the first Oval Office during a West Wing expansion. In 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt added a second floor to the West Wing. In 1934, he relocated the Oval Office to its current spot, completed the East Wing, and built an indoor swimming pool. So the swimming pool, I actually know about this one. It's really funny because that swimming pool is now the press the press room where they do the press conferences. That used to be an indoor swimming pool. In 1948, President Harry Truman began completely gutting and rebuilding the White House interior, preserving only the exterior walls. So, I mean, I'll just keep going. 1970, President Nixon converted FDR's pool to the press briefing room. See? Yeah. And in 73, he added a bowling alley in the basement. In 2009, Obama upgraded the tennis court into a full basketball court. I don't know, I call it an upgrade, but changed it. We'll just say changed. Now in 2025, President Trump has broken ground on a grand ballroom, modernizing the wing while privately funding the project. So, yeah, I mean, this is not abnormal at all, and we've been doing this for a long time. The thing about it too, though, is it's just like, okay, I get it. It's kind of, it's fine, I guess. But to me, I'm also kind of in the same mind of, hey, I mean, this is historical stuff. This is history. So why are we messing with this? That's just kind of how I am with this. I know a lot of other people are just like, I don't really care. It's privately funded, so you didn't pay for it. The taxpayers didn't pay for it. So there's that. Let's see. Wow. Truman gutted the entire White House. That's crazy. So it's really just it's a shell of what it originally was. That's so crazy. Wow. Well, who funded it? Who funded this expansion? Because I think it said $250 million to do this. Of course, we have the memes, as usual. I Yeah, I kind of agree with this sentiment. It's like people who hate Trump and Republicans. This is the same for both sides. This is definitely a both sides thing. Like the partisan politics is really it gets really old sometimes. Joe says everything this motherfucker touches dies. Look what he's done to the White House. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan that you had to partially demolish one of the sections to do this, but it is what it is, bro. Like it's not the end of the world. And Kevin Dalton says, well, Gavin Newsom virtue signals about President Trump's White House expansion. He would appreciate it if you ignored his 1.1 billion taxpayer funded capital expansion, complete with 1,000 or thousands of NDAs, hallways to avoid press, and a cost that already doubled. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. They're so petty. Why are they so petty? They're petty about everything. It's like, sheesh. Like, get a grip, people. All right. Let's look at something else. $150,000. We spent $150,000. Look at the little Gucci bags. Y'all are rich. They're very clearly very wealthy. You've got like a 2-story mansion suite on the cruise. What? This is insane. They have a mansion suite. Do they have their own private deck too? Is this 3 stories? Like, what is this? Okay, no, that's shared, I think, right? That's insane. Okay, um, really? Uh, well, touch screen. I mean, when you're rich, I guess you can just waste your money on a lot of crazy stuff like this, and it's okay. I'm not like jealous or anything. I mean, this is cool, but I don't know that I would ever spend $150,000 on a cruise suite like this mansion suite. It's like a 2 or 3 story mansion suite, probably like 4,000 square foot on this boat. Like, that's insane. Wow. That would get annoying quick. Okay, you have piano. Oh my gosh. Okay, I will say, if you're a kid, like, this is very kid friendly. Really, the dad is just like, I spent like a year and a half worth of savings for this. I don't know. I mean, this is a thing. Like, if this is a once in a lifetime experience and you spent like a crap ton of savings for this, I could see that this would be okay, right? And you'll have memories for the rest of your life. However, I can never, I would never be able to just, I cannot justify this. $150,000. I will say this. This video is very long. And you can tell a woman is doing the videography because she's doing too much. Zoom out. People want to see things. I don't know. I'd call this lunch. This is desserts. Where's the lunch? Does she not show it? Okay. All right. So it's very quiet out there. I'm wondering if they have like it's like a shared suite for a couple or a shared like outdoor pool area for a couple of the suites. Or if it could, the whole thing could just be theirs. I don't know. 150,000 for a family of 6. Woo! That's wild, man. Yeah, I don't know how I could justify that. That's rough. Okay, so I've seen this before, but I definitely wanted to comment on it because I am in Western Pennsylvania, southwestern Pennsylvania. There are a ton of Amish people in this area. I say in the area. This is more Pittsburgh area that I'm in, but I'm constantly working, and I'm constantly driving through what we call Amish country. Hold on one second. I really wish this would. This background is really annoying. How do I get rid of that? I'm sorry. Give me one second. Can I make that go away? I'll put that in the background. Actually, I'll just have nothing. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. So this is like a whole community of Amish men. They are lifting up a barn and moving it to this location. I just think it's really interesting. But yeah, I've seen this before. It's maybe 2 years old, 3 years old video. So this is one video. I've seen others where they're literally moving this thing like a significant, like way more than that. But it's pretty cool, man. These they're very hardworking people. I know a lot of people don't necessarily um agree with their lifestyle, but it's really interesting. I haven't had any issues with them. I have only seen good things from Amish people. So okay. Uh all right, this one just shows my age. I'm sorry, the late 1900s? Excuse me? The late 1900s. You mean like the 90s? That was 30 years ago? What do you mean late 1900s? This isn't like 200 years ago. How dare you? So disrespectful. We're not that old, okay? We're just middle aged. We're in our the second part of our lives here. I'm almost 40. I technically have 2 more quarters of my life. How dare you? Late 1900s. So rude. So nasty. This is what we have to deal with as we gracefully age. Get the gray and the beards and stuff popping in. Okay. I have trying to close some of this stuff out. Let me take a look at this. Oop. My granddad no longer drives, so he passed his old school stick shift down to my brother, and this is the first time seeing it in a while. Aw. Aw. I love it. Nice. That's so precious. I love that. It's good to see when people take care of family heirlooms and things that are passed down. Um, it really it brings like joy to my heart seeing this. That's awesome. Okay, what else we got? Oh, fine. Let's see what's happening here. I don't know how true this is, obviously, but they're saying this is the 31 Atlas or 3i Atlas, which it just looks like a broken up space debris, like a comet or something that broke up, and it's just traveling together. Now, one could say, one could say that it looks like a, dare we say, alien battle fleet. I don't know. Let's see. Yes. Yes. This is true. This is very true. We call it the bird hands. When the women bust out the bird hands and they're like pecking around. Yeah, it's usually they're really aggressive hoochie mamas. I like how Shuin on head is in the top left there. But yes, usually when they bring out the bird hands, it's not a good sign of what's to come. I feel like I've heard this one. I'm gonna play it anyway. Listen, listen, listen. I'm just gonna move on. We're gonna leave that alone. All right, let's see what this is. It's just some no kings protest stuff. He's gonna blow his truck out. You're gonna blow your motor out and shit, bro. Like, what are you doing? You're gonna catch it on fire. Uh, okay. To each their own. I don't know why people engage in the streets with stuff like that. It's so dumb to me. Okay. Oh, Jesus. No hable, no hable. See, yeah, it depends on your job. 100% here. Let's be real. Uh, you can't say a lot of things in an office, in a corporate office, but you definitely can say things in a blue collar job. So let's be 100% real. All right, here we go. I really like this account, Financial Dystopia. In fact, I'm going to look at their account after this. Wow. La Bobos. Whatever. Oh my gosh, bro. Okay. Okay. I don't know how real this is, but it's kind of funny. Okay. All right, let's take a look at this. Oh my gosh, she looks sickly. Wow. Wow. Just crazy. It is, to answer his question, it is, but what a lot of people don't understand about what's happening in China and Asia in general, um, obviously, as Westerners, typically we're not super involved in their what they have going on, but peripherally, I've seen quite a lot of what's been happening, and I mean, they have these like farms. They have these live stream farms. Well, they'll have this pretty young lady. Um, she's doing whatever. She's presenting something. She's doing whatever, and then there'll be a wall of cameras facing opposite of her, like she's looking at the camera, right? And some of these have been revealed, and there's literally a wall of cameras of smartphones, of phones, and they're fake viewers, right? They're all fake viewers. They'll play. They're basically just playing her stream, like they're connected to her stream. You'll have that, and then they have these other ones that are like super dystopian. They'll have these live stream farms. Basically, they'll have these like maker studios type of things, and they'll have like all these different little sets and cubicles that you can rent for however many hours a day that you pay for. And then there's just everyone's doing their little streams separately, and they're in this huge factory or warehouse thing. It's so creepy and dystopian, and that's what's happening. It's scary and it's sad, and it makes me think that possibly in the future, as the human population increases, well, let's be fair, actually the human population is dramatically decreasing right now, but if we get over that and we fix that, we could have that situation where people are being that's how they try to make money. That's their full-time job, is just sitting behind a camera trying to farm content. And but I try to tell people, like, what are my intentions? Yeah, it'd be nice if I, could use this as a main source of income, but I do this because I want to do it. I've been on YouTube for 10 years. And then I started branching out to the other platforms as they've come. And again, I do this because I enjoy it. This is a pastime. I could sit here and look at social media and play video games and do the things that I was already going to do anyway, and then I could talk to people about it. It's really early in the morning. It's not People are not very active right now, but when people do come in here, yeah, we're having full on conversations, and I love that. So, but for a lot of these people, it's simply this is what they have to deal with. This is what they're doing. This is how they're making money. It's kind of sad. Yeah, I'll talk about this because our food is trash. All the chemicals we have to put it, all the chlorines and the chlorates and stuff. So not to harp on Costco. I mean, I think Costco is great. There's a lot of great things you can get from there, but um, I get their chicken nuggies sometimes. Just want to have a quick meal. You just throw it in the oven for like 20 minutes or whatever, 15, 20 minutes. And you have, a good source of protein. And you eating them and they're just it's weird. It's so weird. And you're like, this is not normal chicken. And it's just like municipal water. Typically it tastes like the chlorates and the chlorines and stuff they use to help purify it. And for whatever reason in America they don't just purify it and then distill it and then just pump it straight to your house. They keep the chemicals in there to help purify it through the lines. I'm just like, I don't think they really do that in a whole lot in other countries. So we have Mr. Paul. I'm going to say your name horribly wrong. Oh, that's the actor's name. I still can't say his name, but he says, "Love what you do, brother. Can you read out loud? I'm listening." Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to be playing videos and stuff too. So as I'm going through this, but yeah, the food in America, the water quality, all kinds of stuff. It's just trash. Um, I know a lot of people are not into MAGA and all that stuff and Trump, but one of the things that I really do enjoy about that movement is the MAHA, you Make America Healthy Again. I think that's a great idea. And you don't have to agree with all of it. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of following the science, like the actual following of science. And yes, we need vaccines and all that stuff. I think that there's a certain level of stuff that you need to also criticize and question to make sure that it's going to be good and healthy for your family. But all the chemicals in our food and water, it's crazy. And one last point on this: if you have gone to the store recently, look at the labels on stuff. Look at your ketchups. Look at the anything that has color in it that normally has some kind of a coloring in it. Look at the labels. Also, look at the advertising on it, the packaging. A lot of them now are saying more natural or less chemicals and all that stuff. It's now becoming the culture is changing, and I think it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it, and I could tell the difference too. Certain drinks and foods that I've been historically eating, I've noticed as I've aged. I'm 39. I'm noticing that I get aches and pains after I eat certain things now, and it's because of these weird chemicals and preservatives. I guarantee that's what it is, and it builds up in your body and it causes inflammation. So what I've been doing is, I've been telling the difference, and it's just fascinating, man. I feel so much better, more refreshed, and highly recommend try to eat as natural as possible, as fresh as possible. Obviously, I'm not the best. I'm not a health person. I'm very fat, and I'm trying to work on that. But this is one step towards that. So let's see what else they have. What Chinese takeout is like in China. Okay. I'm sup Okay, wait. I'm kinda surprised because 'cause they're kinda fat, man. You think of China. I know I'm an ignorant American, I get it, and that's fine. I accept that, but you just think that they're just so different, and they're not. Like, our cultures are a lot more aligned than we think. Paul says, "A video that Nile read." Oh, I like Nile Red. He's awesome. Shows that they're putting chemicals in the food to retain water to give them more weight. That's just one potential problem. Yeah. I've worked in the restaurant industry in a previous life. I say previous life. It was like 6 years ago, 7 years ago now. Um, and yeah, I worked at a KFC. a KFC. I worked for KFC, one of the franchises, for like 13 years combined. And yes, they flavor inject the chicken, and it's basically just salt water. Well, they also have other chemicals and preservatives, I'm sure they put in there that are supposedly safe. But yes, it does. It makes the chicken look bigger, and it has more water. So, one of the issues we had when we were deep frying them, they were in pressure cookers. So, they have all this injected water in them. So, you had to be very careful when you released the pressure because all of the water is being released as steam because it's being superheated and cooked quickly at pressure, and all that water is being released, which water and oil don't mix, especially when it's hot and boiling. So obviously that's pressure. The steam had to be released. Um, it wouldn't be so violent and dramatic when it goes wrong if they didn't inject all that extra stuff in there. So yeah, man, it is a problem. But anyway, let's go back to this Chinese takeout one. I, I'm looking at this right, and it does look pretty good, but I also say none of this looks healthy. None of this looks healthy. This is just like fast food trash slop that they're eating. You eat He's eating steamed dumplings for breakfast? All right, whatever. Okay. Steamed dumplings? Yep, we do. I like that. They have these little steamers, little portable steamers. That's cool. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. That's so Oh my god. Okay. The price. We are being ripped off in America, folks. I have said this for years. I have said this. Nobody listens because I talk so damn much. That's my problem. So they're like, okay, yeah, yeah, he said this thing, but no one remembers because again, I talk so much. But one of the biggest problems, and one of the things that are so shocking to Americans when they go overseas or they look at prices overseas for things, that's actually affordable everywhere you go. How strange. But then here in America, we are spending an order of magnitude or two higher for everything. Him getting a simple meal in China was the equivalent of $3 US. Can't do it here. That same meal would have cost like 18, $20 in America. It's like, what are we doing? Why are we living like this? We're being ripped off. And into this financial diatribe and monologuing here, uh, it doesn't have to be like this. And a lot of the stuff does come from the top and the the supply chains. Like, why is all this stuff costing so much? Well, people are claiming like, oh well, it costs this much to produce, and it's like, no, it doesn't. It doesn't though. And somebody somewhere in the supply chain, somewhere in the process, is hyperinflating costs of things, where the rest of the world does not have this problem, generally speaking, and they're able to afford and just live life without having to pay huge sums of money every single time. I guarantee you, these people, they live like, I don't want to say they live like kings, but they live mostly comfortably, and they're not worrying about money all the time because nothing is super expensive. Now, I've seen some stuff in China. I'm not going to be naive and just and ignorant and be like, oh, they're like rich. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in general, they're doing okay. All right, so let's move on. He's just showing his Chinese takeout. I want to see other stuff. Oh, we're looking at a Thailand toilet. Um, I mean, it's basically a porta potty, a metal porta potty. Let me just keep looking at stuff. Oh, is this that dude on? Okay, this might be the guy who does the. I can't remember his name. Sci-fi inspection, inspection, something like that on YouTube. Let's look at it. He does these crazy home inspections and finds basically all these modern things are complete trash. All these modern builds are garbage. Okay, it's not him, but so already looking at it, they're using the spray foam insulation, which I brand new homeowner of only like a month and a half, 2 months, and I'm learning so much about the cost of things and the cost of materials and all that. We had to do a lot of repairs on the house. We got a new roof for 27,000. Like my eye is twitching. Um, and we were looking at insulation. So far, we're okay. We're not in winter yet, so we don't really fully know. But we may have to get some new insulation. And we're like, well, what's the best? And how long does it last? And apparently, the spray foam is like super expensive, the top of the line. But we were like, I don't know that we want to do that. Me personally, like this idea that you're gonna spray something on it and then it'll just when it's done, like it's ready to be replaced, it'll start just falling off. I'm just like, why not just get the other kind of insulation? I don't know. I don't. There's no insulation in that section. Is that droppings? Wait, go back. I'm sorry. So I'm not a builder, but yeah, my understanding is most of these things are supposed to have like a coating around. You put the spray foam around that, or you can put some other material so it absorbs moisture. And this is $1 million home. Well, and that's the other thing is why I never understood these builds like this. Why do you have a window in the attic if it's not a usable attic? Like who designed this? So that's a problem I have. That's one of the things on my list. I have my upstairs bathroom vents into the attic. It's a terrible vent, mind you. Barely like we have to just replace it, and it vents to nothing. It just vents into the attic, pumping moisture. I'm like, bro. Yeah, it's a problem. Like, why is the house cost $1 million? Is it really like a mansion type of thing? I doubt it. It's probably like a 3,000 square foot house, which is a lot, but probably like a 3,000 square foot house, and it's just in a nice neighborhood, so it costs more. Okay, I'm gonna play a couple more that I find, and then I'm gonna go to my YouTube videos I have queued. Let's see. Oh, okay. Apparently, this guy's prepared for the zombie apocalypse. Yes, that is correct. Like, I was talking to my fiance about this. Like, oh, we got, he was just like, we got to get all these things locked up and all these new door handles and all this thing is it's fine. And I'm like, okay, it's cool, and we're gonna do that just fine. But then you have these windows right next to the door, like they're nice big sliding windows. You literally just break the window and you can just come right in. So they're like, okay, well, that's why we have guns. They will. Uh, yes, it'll buy you time. Oh, shit. Oh my gosh. Jesus. Nice. He's got his house is completely kitted out. Okay, I mean, that's yeah. You're not gonna just bust out the hinges, yeah. It's gonna take significant amount of work to get through that door. Firearms. Hey, there you go, firearms. Then you got guns too. He I don't know what state he's in, but he's clearly in a state where he has to keep everything locked up. I don't. I do not have to keep everything locked up, and I will defend myself as I see fit in my property. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to do like one more. This is really fun, though. I love just scrolling. This is the first neighborhood in Texas where every single house will have a grass roof. If you don't know about that kind of living, it's actually really beneficial. It's not just like some weird hippie thing, but having like a hobbit style home where it's like partially submerged in dirt or some kind of bio material, it does actually help insulate and cool your home and regulate temperature. It's pretty cool. Yep, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it is beautiful. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, this looks like they're super expensive homes. $2 million, of course. Yeah, I mean, go for it. Um, Another thing I wanted to talk about, this makes me think of possible futures that we could be moving into. I do believe that we're going to. see these kind of techno feudalism type of different. We're going to have this fracturing, right? For centuries, for thousands of years, there were tens of thousands of different tribes and communities and kingdoms, and that we've slowly been consolidating into bigger and bigger for the entirety of human history. We are starting to see that reverse. We're right on the precipice of where that's going to fracture again. You would think, the left and these weird globalist types, they want this unification of the planet. Well, I think we're going to unify in different ways. We're not going to necessarily unify like in Star Trek or something where we have a one world government. I think what's going to end up happening is it's actually going to fracture again, and we're going to have more city states popping up, and they're going to be super powerful. We're going to have these, like I said, city states, like we saw in the past, that were incredibly powerful, and essentially their own independent entities. Think of Macau, think of Hong Kong, think of what are some other ones around the world? Venice, think of stuff like that. These powerhouse cities that were basically, again, city states. And I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to have these mega corporations. They're going to be either taking over cities and making their own, or making their own new things. And you're going to have these different cultures that emerge from it, these divergent cultures where democracy may not be a thing that they want. It may be direct democracy. It may not be. It may be a communism type of thing. It may be a fascism type of thing. It may be a monarchy even. So I think it'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting. Okay, I am going to, I can keep scrolling on this forever, but I'm going to move on. Give me one moment. I really would like to look at, okay. All right, let's take a look at this. This is a laser pointer at 2 billion frames per second. Makes the speed of light look kind of weird. I'm really interested in this. I'm really a big sciencey person. So let's go take a look at this guy's video. Oh, should probably turn the sound on. Okay. I don't know what that means, see the past, but what I will say is I'm definitely curious to see where he's going to go with this. Give me 1 second. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, this is pretty cool. This is cool. I mean, we can't see it move, right? Like that. We don't have technology like that, right? No way, man. That's so cool. Oh man, that's so cool. This is so neat. No way. Yeah, I mean it's just science. So, I mean, the science will teach you things. You said you can't hear any audio. Is the audio fixed or hold on, you said you can or cannot hear the audio. And let me make sure this is playing. It should be playing. Hold on one second. Yeah, it should be. Well, you hear me just fine, but all right, let's.
Of my ludicrously high-speed camera, and we're going to get to the bottom of this light speed mystery.
Okay.
Today I want to take a video of the light leaving this laser, traveling across this room.
Well, I don't want to watch the
Hobby
entire
photos,
video.
and the
I'm
whole
gonna
assembly-
I really like this. I'm gonna link it in the chat, and then I'll put it in the description. His name is Alpha Phoenix. I would definitely give him a like and a subscribe if you're interested. I'm gonna subscribe. I think this is pretty cool. Oh, there you go. There you go. Put it in chat. Can I think I could stick this live into YouTube. Let's see. All right, just put that live into YouTube so you can see it in the description now. Man, this is so cool. Like, and these people, like a lot of these people on YouTube, they're building this new tech. They're using existing parts and they're making stuff that no one else is making. Styro Pyro, that guy's amazing. He makes these super high powered lasers they're weapons. Let's be real, they're weapons. They're directed energy weapons. I've got another one that we're going to look at in a bit too. This guy's a genius. And then you have you said Nile Red. He's like a chemistry guy. Like, it's just so cool. It's so cool. I love this.
It was on this, wobbly quarter 20 all thread mount. It wobbled, it drifted, it would break if you looked at it funny. Now I want to keep improving this camera, especially the space. Oh God, did I just snap something? Of the
Yes.
time. And while it's on, it's about 7,000 times brighter than it appears to a regular camera I'm filming with now, or to the naked eye. Your eyes do an awful lot of averaging. This new motion stage required a lot of trial and error, mostly self-inflicted.
Wow, this is cool.
My, let's call it frugality, decided that these tiny, cheap plastic motors were probably okay to swing around this big, heavy assembly with a large moment of inertia.
Probably not.
Go.
Probably not. Yeah, when that thing
God, that sounds
flings off
awful.
and breaks your window.
Turns out that when you get the whole swivel assembly swivel,
Right,
except
I'm gonna
slightly
skip
fuzzier
around.
images,
I mean,
as
this is
long as
really
I can
cool. Again,
cram
I
4
linked
times
it
as
in
many
chat and in the
photons through that
description.
hole.
If you want to watch his whole video, I mean, I recommend you do so and give him a like and a subscribe. But this is so cool, man. Like,
is not only looking at light that is immediately in front of the camera, it also can look at light from 50 miles away within the same exposure. So regular cameras don't ever have to deal with the propagation of light because they just do too much averaging. For all the ridiculousness of the path that the information takes through this camera, by the time the information is in the camera, it's all taking the same path, so it kind of doesn't matter. This is not true, however, for information traveling outside the camera. This camera can perceive the motion of light because light traveling this path gets to the camera faster than light traveling this path. In the first case, light may take 5 nanoseconds to get to a droplet of fog in the air, and then maybe 15 nanoseconds to bounce all the way over to the camera. And in the second case, maybe 15 nanoseconds before it has hit some fog, then 15 nanoseconds to get to the camera. This extra path length is what the camera perceives as a delay. And it only works perfectly because the path back to the camera is the same length in both.
This is why, like, in science, a lot of people don't understand how weird things are. Like, our eyes and our equipment that we're using, like, we're scanning the stars and we're like, this looks weird. It's like, well, yeah, there's tons of distortions because gravity is pulling on things like these massive stars, these black holes and stuff like that. It's bending light, it's warping it. It just looks crazy. And then you're looking at stuff like this, like just a simple little home experiment in his garage, and how high powered his camera is and how high speed it is. He's able to perceive the light bouncing off of particles in the air, and it's giving this distortion effect where the light is like going slower because it is going slower. It's being interrupted and refracted and reflected off of particles in the air. That is so freaking cool. How cool is that?
The camera is seeing the light at this location and the light at this location both 15 nanoseconds in the past. If you look at this video and think, wow, the light at the beginning seems to be a tiny bit faster, then you are really observant. It's slight, but with this camera, the path light takes to get to the camera is critically important. When we point the camera in different directions, what we're really probing is this set of path lengths. And this distance to the camera is not the same as this distance to the camera. So things get weird. When we reposition the camera to behind the laser, this effect is much more extreme. As the light reflects from farther and farther locations, it not only takes light longer to get to the place where it scatters, but it takes longer to get back to the camera. Because we're basically doubling the path length for the light, the speed of light appears to be almost half of its true value. If you want to think about this another way, from some sort of classical objective perspective, the camera sees things near it with very little delay, but sees distant objects farther and farther back in time. The image formed by this camera is not an objective view of the world at a single moment in time, but a perspective taking a slice obliquely through time. For the light bouncing back towards the camera, or equivalently if we put the camera at the far end of the garage, we have the opposite effect. If we look at the path lengths for each position in this case, the total path lengths are almost the same. As the scattering location gets farther from the light source, it also gets closer to the camera. So we really can't detect much of a difference in travel time with both mirrors set.
So there was this thing in Star Trek, The Next Generation. It was it was called the Picard maneuver. Basically, they used the warp speed of the ship to he basically went to warp at one direction, stopped, went warp a different direction, stopped, and then went warp in direction again. And they timed it in such a way that when the light arrived at the central spot at the same time, making it look like there was multiple ships. Now, in reality, it wouldn't really look like that, but the concept is the same as this, basically. Like the light is splitting and refracting and reflecting in such a way that it distorts the light. This is awesome. I love this stuff so much. Yeah, Alpha Phoenix, go ahead and give him a a like and a subscribe. Let's look at the next video I had lined up. All right, so this is from 7 months ago. This is Lightning on Demand. This guy's making a Lorentz plasma cannon. I saw part of this before, and I'm really curious. I didn't watch the whole video. I think I watched like 5 seconds, and then I got distracted on something else. So I would love to look at this.
Have you ever wanted to throw a lightning bolt at something? Well, as it turns out, it's technically quite possible to do. Today we're going to fire this directed energy device that I built a while back. I call it the Lorentz
That looks
cannon.
like a weapon.
The cannon is supported by a 240,000 volt pulse forming tower called a Marksbank, which delivers an electrical power pulse of several gigawatts to the 30-barrel armature gun mounted on top. The gun then initiates a plasma channel through the air at current levels found in natural lightning and can direct this plasma channel towards any grounded target. Now you might be wondering, why would anyone build such a thing? Well, back in the day when I lived at Survival Research Labs,
I'm going to be honest, I did not ask that question, and I don't care. In fact, it would be like, no, why didn't you build it sooner?
my task was to make electrical devices that could somehow interact with the machines. But these machines were often quite violent and unpredictable, and they were usually loaded with weapons and explosives. So how could you arm an electrical device to survive in such a hostile environment? The answer? Use pulsed power. And if that doesn't work, use more pulsed power. Now, capacitor banks are a cheap and cheerful way to blast objects with hundreds of megawatts, or shower large areas of machines with molten metal. But to blast an object with capacitors usually involves running very heavy cables, and dragging these heavy cables up to a fast and mobile machine wouldn't be very practical at all. So I wondered, could you somehow direct a lightning bolt at a hostile machine instead? I'd read about lightning researchers who could direct lightning bolts to the ground by firing rockets trailing a thin wire. But how can a hair-thin wire possibly carry tens of thousands of amps? This is where the Lorentz force comes to the rescue. When you pass current through a wire, a magnetic field forms around it. Lorentz found that this field produces a force that compresses the conductor, which increases with the square of the current. Now normally, if you tried to pass 10,000 amps through a thin wire, it would instantly vaporize. But if the current rises fast enough, the Lorentz force grows faster than the explosive force, and it contains the hot plasma into a super dense channel. It's a great trick, but
I did not know that. That's interesting. I love this stuff because I feel like we're right on the cusp of like electrogravitics, which is, if you don't know what that means, it's, you know, anti-gravity technology where we could levitate objects or make these levitating platforms or have space, you know, basically like Star Wars, Star Trek spaceships. That's what I want. So bad. Flying cars.
there's a catch. In order to get the current to rise that fast, you need to hit it with a rather large voltage pulse, and a fast one to boot. Now this is easy for a storm cloud to do, since it has hundreds of millions of volts available. But I wondered, could mere mortals pull off such a feat? As luck would have it, SRL had recently rescued a bunch of 20,000 volt capacitors from the scrapyard. But some quick calculations revealed that we needed over 120,000 volts to produce a fast enough edge. So to get 120,000 volts out of 20,000 volt caps, I borrowed the Marksbank approach used to power the Z machine. Now a Marksbank is a clever way to multiply voltage by almost any amount. Here's how it works. First, all of the caps get charged in parallel to 20,000 volts through the liquid ballast tubes. Then an array of spark gaps fires them in series, effectively multiplying the original voltage by the number of levels. The divider is calibrated to show the final output voltage.
Zapping it.
150,000 volts is right about here. Okay, the bank is charged and ready to fire. 3, 2, 1.
I mean, okay, so I'm looking at that. It looked cool and dramatic, but this target in the paper should be completely obliterated. It's not doing anything. 8 times slow mo. So,
that familiar.
Let me go back. So it's shooting a dart and discharging a lot of electricity.
That familiar shockwave. I just hope the neighbors aren't too upset.
Okay, it looks cool, but it's doing no damage.
Looks like I need to adjust the aim compensator upwards a bit.
6000x.
At this energy, the shockwave easily rips the target away and leaves a bit of a flame even. You can definitely tell that a stable plasma channel formed since it blew a hole in the plywood.
It did blow a hole.
And the peak current reached tens of thousands of amperes. And the Marksbank completely discharged its energy.
But this is...
And it was loud as hell. The echo off those buildings about a half mile from here kind of sounded like distant thunder.
Increasing target damage. Okay, this is what we're
Now
talking
let's
about.
try doubling the energy delivered to the target. 210,000 volts is about double the energy of 150,000 volts. Our meter here only goes to 200,000, but it'll still give us a good estimate. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
It looks like doubling the energy had an effect.
I mean, okay, so it looks cool, but what is the effect of this? Like, is this actually... Because he's using a shit ton of energy and resources to build this device, but is it actually doing anything? Could you use this as an actual weapon? What is it going to do to tanks? What is it going to do to... Well, you really wouldn't shoot this at aircraft. It looks like it has a very limited range. What is the benefit to this? So when I'm looking at this, again, I'm science-minded. I'm not super science, I don't have all the official learning, obviously, but you're seeing all this energy discharge. Like when it fires, it discharges. You're seeing this basically a cone, or not a cone, a cylinder of energy discharging outwards in all directions, away from the focal point of the weapon firing. That's a ton of energy being completely wasted. Instead of all that energy funneling towards the target, it's going outwards. So what I would think is you would want to use some kind of electromagnetic pulse that fires like a torus, electromagnetically charged torus, towards the target as you're firing the other part, the main discharge point, whatever. That would basically, through electromagnetic field of the torus, pull and draw that energy down towards the target, and you'd be able to actually utilize that energy. I think that's what he needs to look into. And I guess that's the trick is, well, how do you produce an electromagnetic charge that you could discharge outwards like that? That's above my pay grade.
As we can see, the target has now achieved a high state of division. But how did this happen? We can discover why by slowing down the video about 6,000 times. With double the energy, the shockwave has now gone supersonic, with wood and shrapnel departing at about 1,200 feet per second. The target simply can't move out of the way in time, and is shredded to bits.
Okay.
Finally, how effective is the plasma cannon against electronics hidden inside hostile machines? This TV that I found in E-Waste should provide a good indication.
Yes.
The cathode ray tube still lights up, which will provide us with useful diagnostics.
This is exactly
we're ready to
answering
fire
my question.
with a full 210,000 volts on the bank. 3, 2, 1.
It didn't seem to do much. The dart destroyed the screen.
The plasma channel didn't penetrate the front of the CRT, but simply went around it and connected directly with the deflection circuits inside. Those circuits then launched through the top of the television.
I guess I'm thinking about this wrong. So, I mean, it is doing damage, and I'm thinking, well, okay, well, it didn't just blow up like something in Hollywood. I guess. It doesn't have to. If you're just frying the circuits, well, there you go. You blew out the circuits. It's now useless. So it's effective, I guess. Reality is not nearly as fun
in slow
and
motion
as the movies.
Note that at this speed, we can actually watch the electron beams scanning out the test pattern on the screen.
I mean, I'm looking at this, and it's just so much wasted energy. He needs to figure out how to channel it all at the target instead of like 95% of it being discharged outwards in all directions. So I'm going to leave that there. I like this. I give him a like and a subscribe. And I'm going to share him in the chat here. This is pretty cool. Come on. Post that in chat, and I will put this in the description as well. There we go. That's pretty cool. Okay. Let's see. What else do I got going on? We're at an hour and 30. All right. This looked interesting. I will put this on screen. It says this is the building to house 8 billion people. Real scale comparison.
Building so big it could house every single human on Earth. Sounds insane, right? But if we really pack people together, just how big
I don't know
would it
why
need
you
to
would
be?
want to do that.
Let's start with the basics.
Single point of failure.
Imagine this. A room, 18 feet by 18 feet, with a 10-foot ceiling. This represents the living space we'll allocate to each person in our hypothetical structures.
So it's like a college dorm.
It's a modest space, big enough for a bed, a desk, a small kitchenette, and a bath. It's not luxurious.
Did you say how many square foot it was? 800?
Space we'll allocate to... Let's start with the basics. Imagine this. A room, 18 feet by 18 feet, with a 10-foot ceiling. This represents the living space we'll allocate to each person in our hypothetical structures. It's a modest space, big enough for a bed, a desk, a small kitchenette, and a bath. It's not luxurious,
that's like a
but it provides the
square foot.
essentials for basic living.
What's the math on that?
Now imagine 8 billion of these rooms. That's a lot of space, but how do we even begin to house them all? Let's try to house a more manageable population. New York City. With 8.5 million people, we need a solution. So, let's build a skyscraper. But not just any skyscraper.
It was 324 square foot. The 18 by 18 is 324 square foot. That sounds like hell. That is not acceptable living space for most people. Not at all. Let's see. Said Tech Ingredients. Said Tech Ingredients made a cool video. Taking out drones with a microwave gun. Yes. So it's one of the things I've been talking about. I brought it up in a previous stream. As the carpal tunnel, as technology evolves and the threats evolve, with drone tech, you're dealing with problems like you can. Oh my gosh, it was like 15 years ago I was talking about this. I said, drones just started becoming a thing, and you can buy them. They're pretty expensive back then. Now they're dirt cheap. But anyway, this was before the FAA regulated them. You could just buy these drones and just fly them around. And it's like, do we not see the problem in the threat here? Very obviously, you can weaponize that very quickly. And it took a while. It took a couple of years. I think it was like 5 years before we started seeing, it was ISIS started putting grenades and explosives on them and dropping them down. And then obviously we see the Russo-Ukrainian war, where drones are like the primary weapon. But yes, so there's a lot of ways you could do it. You could use microwave tech, which helps. The problem is a lot of these things are fly-by-wire because they were using that. You'd have this area of effect microwave shielding, essentially. Or you can use a directed energy weapon. You target and then you fire at the drone. You can knock it out that way. But a lot of these things are shielded now, so it doesn't work. The microwave doesn't work, and they're fly-by-wire. So you have to sever that wire, that fiber optic cable for it to be effective, which that's hard to do. So they're using shotguns basically to shoot them out of the sky. That's the best way. The other way too is netting. If you have some kind of a net gun, it would help.
Imagine a skyscraper with a base 4 times the size of the Empire State Building. To accommodate everyone in NYC, with our 18 by 18 foot living space and room for infrastructure, this building would need to be nearly 20 kilometers tall.
30 something feet. You said 20 kilometers tall.
20 kilometers. That's almost 12.5 miles straight up. Can you even imagine? It would pierce the clouds, dwarfing any existing building on Earth. But honestly,
the problem too
it's
with
probably
this,
not feasible.
It's not, because the amount of weight and mass that you're putting in that, you couldn't just make it tall like that anyway. But all that mass is just going to collapse. It can't support itself. You would need something that's nice and wide. Think of like a pyramid. Pyramid would probably work. I don't even think a cube would work. It'd probably have to be a pyramid where you're completely dispersing all the weight as much as possible. That 3-hour difference is a bit disadvantageous sometimes. So catching, yeah. Well, I started at, let's see, what time is it? 1:30, an hour and 30 minutes in. So yeah, I started like at 10:15 East Coast time. I don't usually do this early, but I'm trying to plan my day. So, and actually, let me set an alarm real quick. Set an alarm for 15 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to end this in about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to restart it. We're gonna do some gaming. All right.
The engineering challenges, the materials. It's just not practical, but it does illustrate the sheer scale of the problem we're trying to solve.
We don't have a problem with space, though. That's the thing. We have plenty of space on this Earth. And it's so... Remember in the 90s and 2000s when they kept saying like, oh my gosh, there's just so many people on the planet. There's just too many people. Stop having kids and stop having babies. Well, they created this culture of the world is ending because we're gonna eat ourselves to death. There's not going to be enough food and water and resources for everybody, and that was a complete and total lie. In fact, we could probably sustain ourselves at, let's see, we're about 8 billion people, 9 billion people now. Um, I think we're about 8 billion. Um, we could probably bring that number up to like 13 billion before we actually start having problems. There is just so much space on this planet. It's not even funny. They just lied to us. They have an agenda. That's too many people to manage. You can't manage that many people because all it takes is one incident, one little thing, and then you'll have like 50 million with an M, 50 million people are rioting in the streets of, let's say this is like 50, 100 years in the future and America has like 2 billion people in it or something. 50 million people, you can't stop that. It becomes too much to manage. So what ends up happening is their theories are we need to reduce the population. It's just too dangerous to have that many people in one space together. I understand that mentality. Of course I disagree with it, but I think we should be trying to spread out into other planets and planetary bodies and exploring the universe. That's I 100% think that. Yes. All right, let's continue.
But that's just New York City. What about the rest of the world? What about every single person on Earth? To house all 8 billion
Oh, that
of
was
us
only
in
New
a
York
similar
City.
structure, well, let's just say the scale gets a bit out of hand.
I mean, well, why would you make a tower that goes up?
Welcome
like that?
to
It's
World
just
Residence.
Clearly, it's not going to work.
Imagine a cube, each side stretching over 9 kilometers. That's almost 6 miles. It's a colossal structure, dwarfing any city, any mountain range. It would be a monument to humanity, but also a
mega
stark
structure.
reminder of our sheer numbers. And remember, this is with
So-
each person allotted just 18 feet by 18 feet of
And of course, it would be hell. Like, first of all, if you could produce the materials to do something like this, it would just be pointless. Like, nobody would want to live there. It'd be hell. And let's be real. Okay, this person is lucky. Oh my gosh, they won the lottery. They can, the mega lottery. You have a top floor of this mega structure cube with sunlight and an artificial forest on top. Oh my gosh. Well, 99% of the people would never see sunlight. They're going to be in this cube. It would just be like, it'd be hell.
living
It'd be in
space.
hell.
It's a humbling
This
thought,
does not
isn't
sound
it?
appealing at all.
World Residence, a structure
Yes, you
that would
could.
house
So yes, the information I've seen on that, somebody did a calculation, and there's been several videos and infographic and things like this made, where they basically took, I think at the time it was 7 billion people, and they broke it down and gave everybody half an acre. Basically, if everyone had half an acre, it'd take up the size of Texas roughly, and then the rest of the world would just be uninhabited. Like, you could do it that way. New York has more people who work there than who actually live there. Yeah. It's true. A lot of people live in Jersey and surrounding areas.
every single human being on Earth.
Yeah, this does not sound appealing.
This isn't just a thought experiment. It's a reminder of how big humanity really is and how we'll need to think creatively about the future. If you enjoyed this mind-blowing comparison, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay curious. This is Big Data Factor.
Yeah, give him a like. That was cool. Big Factor Data. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is cool. I like thinking about futurism and how we advance as a species and all that stuff. I think it's important. We should definitely be looking at alternatives to, make things more smooth and whatever. I guess the other problem we have is you'll have these people who think they're smarter than everyone else, and they say, this is what I think we should do, and I'm going to enforce that, and I'm going to make these governments and stuff do these things, and they fail. Okay, you're causing harm to people. What I would say is, oh my gosh, this comment. Imagine the amount of sewage pouring out of that thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, man, it's really interesting. And we should be concerned about the future. That doesn't mean that you go psychotic and just make up stuff like the climate change people, right? Yes, climate is affected by humans, but how much it's affected is what's in question. They're saying, remember they said the Earth was going to be like destroyed in a couple of years, and then that date passed and nobody's talking about it anymore. It's like, oh, interesting. Have you heard or seen of the sci-fi theory of all-encompassing building where people never need to leave, where all needs are met, including indoor farming and giant window gardens? Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. There are, think of like ring worlds, like in Halo. There are Dyson spheres, Dyson swarms. There's all different types of things you can do here. It's so far advanced, like there's no way, we're not anywhere near close to being able to build stuff like that. I mean, I don't even think in thousands of years. Like this is something like 10,000 years in the future where we're able to harness energy on a scale that we can't even fathom. Would we even have the ability to build stuff like that? But yes, the science, the math works, the science works. This stuff has already been think about and talked about. Yes, absolutely. You can build these artificial structures in space where you would have to harvest like moons and planets and stuff. Like, let's say we don't really care about Venus. It's completely dead rock. We've done tons of studies and tests, and it's like, we don't really need it. We could just harvest it. That would be a whole process in of itself. And you just basically take the material for the planet. And then, yes, you could build these mega structures in space, and you could essentially make them these artificial worlds. And yeah, I think we're there. I say we're there. I think we can get there. And I'm a very imaginative person, and I've thought about this before. And just think of the reality where hundreds of thousands of years in the future, this would just be like a story arc. Hundreds of thousands of years in the future, and the story like starts where there's like this feudalist kind of medieval style future, like the scene opens up like that, and there's like knights and stuff and peasants, and it's this beautiful landscape or whatever, and then it completely takes you for a loop because there's some like really insanely advanced technology that just comes out of nowhere, and it just like completely shocks the whole nation, the whole community, and come to find out as the story progresses, it's like this is humanity hundreds of thousands of years in the future, and this particular group of people, they went on this far reach of this mega structure, and they just wanted to restart a community, and they started basically from scratch. And then another community from like insanely far away on this mega structure was just exploring and trying to see what's out here on this giant place, and they find this like more primitive forms of human. There's just so many different possibilities with this kind of stuff. I love it. How about multi-level cities? China and some US cities have already experimented with it. Yeah, that would be like the Coruscant type of thing in Star Wars. There's a couple other sci-fi genres that have stuff like that, these mega cities. I am okay with it, and I think it's awesome. I have a lot of dreams where these weird architecture and structures. Like you're just walking from one place to the other, and you're going. It doesn't look right. And I've seen this one in China where you're just driving. The highways go through the buildings and stuff, and then you come up on this other level, and it's basically like a mini Coruscant from Star Wars. I think there's pros and cons to that. I do think that is something that we can look into in advance, try to look at, because yes, I think that we can compress humanity voluntarily. Like you can make these more mega cities, but I also think that we shouldn't be strip mining entire forests and like the landscape and whatnot. I think that obviously we want to try to maintain what we can. Everybody can't have like 50 acres and a 10,000 square foot mansion. That's just not reality, right? And why would everyone want that? That's not what everyone wants. But yeah, I mean, these things can be really cool, and I think we should definitely look at it. I really want the concept. I really like this concept of planned cities. It's just, in practice, it doesn't work. People just aren't like that. Most people aren't. They're just not built like that. Excuse me. I like that. Where did it go? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I've got a couple more minutes left here. Coruscant is a bit of a nightmare version, so long as it doesn't take people away from the outside sky. Yeah. Also, the multi-level city in China is possible because it was built on a mountain in a valley. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that would work because you're basically doing this layered terrace type of thing. Yeah, that works. That would be cool. Yeah, and not to get super nerdy in the Star Wars lore, but there are lower levels in Coruscant. And in fact, there's these whole huge side stories and stuff about it where it's like a complete nightmare. Expanded universe or legends or whatever they call it now is Emperor Palpatine actually found ancient Sith temples down below in Coruscant and found, consolidated artifacts and power and stuff. There are basically these mutants down on the lower levels, and like the absolute lowest levels, there's unspeakable horrors. As the deeper you go, the more horrific it gets. It's just completely insane. And it's a really cool universe. I love Star Wars. Basically anything you're thinking of, or any kind of genre, it's in Star Wars because it's a universe. You just add stuff over time. They have zombies in Star Wars and everything. Okay. Let's see what else is going on. I have a couple more minutes. I think I gave myself a 15-minute timer. Oh, because I was looking at the clock and not the actual stream time. I actually have about 5 minutes. Let me reset this. Set an alarm for 5 minutes. Okay. All right. So like I said, I'm going to drop this stream at about 2 hours, and then I'm going to bring it back up. This is for an administrative reason. I'm still going to be streaming. I hate doing that, and it interrupts the flow and the amount of viewers and stuff that come in, but I got to do it. Is there any last things with politics or stuff like this in these general conversations while we have a couple more minutes? What is this? Let's see if I can find something interesting real quick. Hassan Piker quit streaming. I mean, I doubt it. He'll probably just take a break, but he shouldn't have been shocking his dog on stream. And I also talked about this. To me, it's not really a story. It's only a story because he made it a story. People use shock collars all the time. I'm not saying everyone, but it is a common practice, and it's not like causing permanent damage. It's not necessarily torturing. There's a time and a place. I'm not against shock collars, but he's a lying scumbag communist, and he's been lying the entire step of the way. So it's kind of like, dude, you get what you deserve as far as the public backlash. What? Oh my gosh, Ad Astra. I need to watch this movie so bad. It's been on my list. What streaming platform is this on? It says it's on Hulu. No, it's not. You got to pay for it, though. It has a really bad score. I think it looks amazing. Oh, I definitely want to watch this. Let me just put it on the back burner. But yes, Hassan could have just apologized or say nothing. Yeah, PR 101 is you don't say anything. Something happens and you just ignore it. It's incredibly frustrating with people with a decent IQ because you're like, you keep bringing it up. Hey, where's this update on this thing? Like, you're just not talking about this massive controversy, and you just keep, people like me, it pisses me off. It's actually one of the reasons I stopped watching Tim Pool, because he does that. Anytime some kind of drama or controversy happens in his influencer sphere, he doesn't talk about it. And it's incredibly fucking annoying because I need you to tell me something. And especially at the time, I was a paid subscriber to his premium content. And the week he got COVID, I was done because he said nothing. He told his staff, don't say anything. You can't say anything at all. And it was just like a week of no content, no communication. And I was just like, dude, I'm paying for a service and I'm not getting it. It's like, just think of like if you had Netflix or Hulu or Disney Plus, and then it's just the service is down for a week and nobody's saying anything. It's like, nope, we're done here. Like I cut off, my subscription and all that. Like, no, you need to communicate with your customer. It's incredibly frustrating. So yes, Hassan's problem is he was talking too much. He is talking too much. The flywheel trebuchet. That looks really cool. And incredibly dangerous. Everyone's still talking about this. They're still talking about his dog, man. It's crazy. Made a ghillie suit from mirrors, and it's shockingly good. Oh. Oh, okay. No way, man. Okay, that is pretty cool. And that's time. God, like 2 minutes before I have to cut this. Okay, that's really cool. I'm going to link this in the description below. Yeah, we're liking that. I'm going to share this in chat. Y'all can take a look at the full video. Very, very cool. All right. So I appreciate everyone for watching. Again, I'm going to continue streaming. I'm just going to drop this one down and I'm going to bring it back up. I will take a quick little break, bathroom break. Get me a nice, cold, frosty, caffeinated beverage. But I will be right back. I appreciate everything as always. Thank you for sticking around with me. Thank you for all the new people that have popped in. And like I said, I will be right back in a minute. And you can find me on whatever stream you're watching me on. I will be right back. See if I can click this fast enough. Production quality of a child, but